Dodgers finish up the sweep in Colorado, and Clayton Kershaw takes a major step towards an unbelievable lifetime accomplishment. That's coming up next on Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. My name is Travis Rogers, spelled just like Dodgers. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Travis Rogers. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcast, never behind a paywall. And of course, if you like to look at your podcast, and really who doesn't, make sure that you check us out on our Locked On Dodgers YouTube channel as well. It is a great way to consume the pod. I, of course, have been your host of Locked On Dodgers for a relatively short time now, just finishing up the first week, but also host the Locked On Rams podcast and have my daily radio show here in LA. Travis and DeMarco, 710 ESPN, 9 to noon, Monday through Friday, so you can check that out as well. Let's jump right into this, but before, let me remind you that today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off of your first purchase. All right, let's get into Clayton Kershaw and what he was able to do yesterday in Colorado. First of all, Dodgers finished the sweep. We'll get into that in just a second. The Dodgers 51-31 in their first game of the second half of the season. And of course, they win the game 3-1, and they've opened up a nice, comfortable lead in the NL West. All of that coming up. But the story of the day, of course, was Clayton Kershaw, who was terrific. Do we want to call it terrific? Do we want to call it pretty good? Or do we want to throw a little bit of a break on that and say, yes, it was very good, but it was also the Colorado Rockies. He is now just 3 strikeouts away from becoming just the 20th player in Major League history to accumulate 3,000 strikeouts in their career. He struck out 5 Rockies yesterday, leaving him just 3 short. You know, going into it, if you listen to yesterday's pod, if you're an everydayer, you know this is something that we've been talking about for a few days now, is I didn't think he was going to get in Colorado. I'll be honest, I got a little nervous yesterday when he started going through them quite the way that he did. It seems like his next start at Dodger Stadium against the Chicago White Sox is a very likely place to get it. So if you want to head out to Dodger Stadium and see that, I would certainly not blame you. That's a piece of baseball history that I think we're all very excited to see. I did not know this until I heard it the other day, but I think this kind of puts into perspective just how remarkable it is that Clayton Kershaw is going to finish his career with 3,000 plus strikeouts. Fewer pitchers have struck out 3,000 batters than have won 300 games. We know that landmark, and we probably, maybe Justin Verlander, if stuff really turns around and he finds another fountain of youth, but we're probably never going to see another 300-game winner. 24 guys have won 300 games in Major League history. Only 19 have struck out 3,000 guys. So Kershaw will about to become the 20th person to do that. He was really good. I think of his line score yesterday: 6 innings pitched, a couple of hits, just 1 run, a solo shot, the 5 strikeouts, and just 1 walk. It was an incredible performance by him. But the part about it, I think more than anything, was the efficiency in which it was done. And again, anytime you can walk off the mound in Colorado after playing the Rockies and feel like you had an efficient outing, feel like you did a solid job in giving the bullpen a day off, you've really done some significant work. And Kershaw certainly did that. Just 69 pitches in his outing in the 6 innings. He was just terrific along the way. He didn't walk anybody. He was ahead. We'll get to that coming up in the third segment on Locked On Dodgers, because that, I think, has a lot more to do with the Rockies than it does the Clayton Kershaw experience. But let's just talk about where we are right now in the Kershaw journey. He gave you a performance where he pitched 6 innings, struck out 5 batters, only gave up 1 run. And I don't care that it was against the Rockies. That is an extraordinary performance from a pitcher that I was not sure still had that in him. That if you told me at the beginning of the season, if you told me a few weeks ago, a month or so ago, when he was reintroduced into the starting rotation, that Clayton Kershaw would be one of the workhorses of this pitching staff, I don't think I would have believed you. Not because I didn't want it to happen, not because I'm not a Clayton Kershaw fan. I did want it to happen, and I am, but I just did not think that he had this amount of high-level baseball left in that left arm of his. I had not seen it in a very long time. I just had not seen him be able to pitch deep in the games, be as efficient as he has been, and that's exactly what he's done. Now, whether or not that lasts, time will tell. Whether or not we're going to need him to pitch like that in the postseason, time will tell. Whether or not he can, shake that postseason stuff that we've seen happen to him so many times in his career, time will tell. But for a day in the middle of the season, literally smack dab in the middle of the season, game number 82, he gave you a performance that I was not entirely sure he still had left, which was the other team was locked up from the opening inning until he left the game, that he was in complete control of what it was he was doing from the moment he stepped out there. And that is an extraordinary development for one of the great pitchers, not only in Dodger history, but in baseball history. Just an incredible, incredible moment. Now, here's the deal. The Rockies are terrible. The Rockies helped him. The Rockies were swinging at a bunch of first pitches that we'll get into in just a little bit. But this, I guess what I'm getting at is, while great, let's temper our expectations about what may happen next. I know the White Sox are his next opponent. The White Sox are not a high-level team either. I'm not saying that this is entirely a function of playing against some teams that are not playoff, but it's part of it. There were some pitches yesterday that caught a lot of plate that I don't know if another team doesn't take advantage of them in a different way, that the Colorado Rockies were not able to do it. But again, put that aside for a second. This is something that I think any Dodger fan who is reasonable, any Dodger fan who is at least living in reality would have thought was exceptionally unlikely coming into this season. That here you are, we're nearly to July, and Clayton Kershaw is a regular part of the rotation, an important part of the rotation, and an effective part of the rotation. The regularity of it all, maybe, if you've watched the Dodgers over the last few years, you see how quickly they go through starting pitchers, how often guys need to be shut down, how often they're cycling through guys, so that they had to go this deep into it. Okay, maybe a not nearly as much surprise. That they were going to give him opportunities, not really as much of a surprise as you might have thought, because they wanted to get to where we are on the 1 yard line for right now, which is 3,000 strikeouts, just 3 away. It's going to happen. It's going to be great. He picked up 5 more yesterday. All good. But it's the effectiveness and the continued effectiveness of it that I think is the biggest surprise of all. That Clayton Kershaw is not just out there like, hey, man, can you please pick up a couple of more strikeouts? Can you please get this over with so we can get to the stuff that matters? That he's, frankly, pretty good, I think, is the biggest surprise of it all. That Clayton Kershaw was going to get to 3,000, not a surprise. That Clayton Kershaw was going to get enough chances to get to 3,000, not a surprise. That they need him to pitch as well as they do, and that he has, and that he's been able to continue to kind of push that thing forward. That's a big surprise. So congratulations to him. We'll, I'm sure, have a huge ceremony here on Locked On Dodgers when he finally gets it done against the White Sox. But a really kind of vintage Kershaw performance at this point. And you can see it. Like it even meant something to him that a game against the Rockies at this point in the season, at this point in his career, you could see he felt pretty good about it in the dugout, watching some of his comments afterwards in the clubhouse, that it feels good to contribute to your team, to not just go out there and be a ceremonial guy, not just go out there and be the, oh, hey, he's a future Hall of Famer, which of course he is. But hey, I shoved today. I went out there and locked up I was going to say a major league team. I locked up the Colorado Rockies for a few hours, and I helped my team grow their lead to 6 games in the NL West. So congratulations to Kershaw. Little bit of a pin in it because of the Rockies. That's coming up in just a little bit, but all in all, a very successful day for him. So sweep completed in Colorado. On the way to Kansas City to take on another team that is really scuffling. What are we looking for in KC? A little twib? Travis's Week in Baseball. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Dodgers. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Of course you have. Who hasn't? It's a great decision to make. Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize, you know what? I'd like to be out there in the ballpark. I want to go sit in the sun. I want to go take in a dog and a beer and watch that game. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without any of the stress. And with the money you save, you can splurge on that dog. You can splurge on that cold beer, drinks, merch, even invite a bigger group to come with you because Game Time makes it all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and it makes it simple. Prices on the app significantly and actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a low price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. It is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it super easy to browse the app for an exciting upcoming Major League Baseball game. Of course, here in town, we got a couple of choices. You can go to a Dodger game. You can go to an Angel game. Shoot, you want to hop in your car, go down to San Diego and watch those, those other guys? Pretty nice ballpark. You can go do that as well. Last minute tickets, zone deals, big savings, like 10% off. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Day. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Moving forward here on Locked On Dodgers. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day. Why don't you go check out that Locked On Rams podcast as well. Myself, Doug McCain, do that. All of your Rams information. Of course, you got Locked On Lakers with the Cambros. They do an incredible job over there as well. So check out all of your Locked On pods. And maybe you're one of those guys that's got that weird affiliation out of town. Locked On's got you covered with just about every team that you can think of. So check out your Locked On pod. Never behind a paywall. Free and available wherever you get your pods. All right, moving forward. On to Kansas City, right? The Kansas City Royals next up for the Dodgers. The Dodgers finish a sweep in Colorado. And look, Dodgers played Colorado 10 times. I think they've won 10 in a row, actually. You could reasonably expect them to win 7 of those games, but they're going to lose 3 here or there, and that they didn't drop one, that's really good news. These are games that, I think the Dodgers are going to pull away. But if you're San Francisco and San Francisco and San Diego, I think you're thinking, whoever beats the Rockies the most might be the one that jump in to that second spot to grab one of those wild cards. So the Dodgers did a good job of making sure that they took care of their business there, and they've actually opened up some halfway decent breathing room as we get closer towards the All-Star break. Currently sitting 6 games clear in the National League West, and what felt like a division race just a couple of weeks ago, very, very quickly does not. That the Dodgers have taken advantage of the soft spot of their schedule. 2 out of 3 against the Nats. They sweep the Rockies, get a chance to go to Kansas City and take on another team that's scuffling a little bit. They come through that month-long run where they're playing nothing but playoff teams. They go 17-11 through that and really have opened up some daylight with a chance to, I don't know if you can put it away in July, but you can kind of get it close. You could at least put the car cover over that thing in the next month or so. So good job on them going into Colorado and taking care of their business there. And that opportunity in Colorado is presenting itself in Kansas City as well. Now, Kansas City isn't nearly as dreadful as the Rockies because, quite frankly, nobody is as dreadful as the Rockies. And we'll talk about that coming up in our third segment. But the Royals are really scuffling, not historically like the Rockies, who are one of the worst teams ever, but they're 4-11 in their last 15 games. That is a rough patch over, 2.5 weeks. They have lost 5 in a row. And in that process of 5 games, you know how many runs they put on the board? 4. So they're not winning. They're not scoring. They're dropping like they got cement shoes on in the AL Central. And a Dodger team that is really hot and a Dodger team that's pretty darn good at beating up on teams that they're supposed to beating up on are coming into town. So an opportunity for the Dodgers to continue to stack some wins, to continue to put some daylight between themselves and the rest of the National League West along the way. So some of the things that we were hoping to see in Colorado, I think you're starting to see them continue, right? Michael Conforto, pretty good series in Colorado, a couple of home runs. Was that a Colorado thing, or does that continue to go on into Kansas City? If it goes to Kansas City and you come back, does it continue to take place against the Chicago White Sox? This is a great opportunity for Conforto to get hot, stay hot, and see what happens there. This is exactly the point of the schedule where something like that could happen. He took advantage of it. Let's see if that was a Colorado thing, or let's see if that's he started to figure out his swing and see the ball a little better and get some results sort of thing. So optimistic there along the way. Dustin May tonight, game 1 of the Royals series. You know what I'd love to see him do is a lot what you saw Clayton Kershaw do yesterday. And I'm not comparing him to Clayton Kershaw in experience. I'm not comparing him to Clayton Kershaw really in anything except for, can we get ahead? Can we throw strike one? Can we fill up a strike zone against a team that's really scuffling, against a team that's really struggling to score runs, and attack the strike zone early in counts? Attack the strike zone early in the game. Be as efficient as Clayton Kershaw was yesterday, to where all of a sudden you turn around, it's the 5th inning, the pitch count is in a very manageable place, and that bullpen gets another day off of its feet. That Dustin May has some of the best stuff that you're ever going to see. When that ball comes out of his hand, it looks like a wiffle ball in a wind tunnel. Good luck. Only he doesn't get a lot of miss. Only the guys seem relatively comfortable against him in the batter's box. Why? Because a lot of times they can eliminate pitches. A lot of times they know he's struggling to land a pitch, especially early in the count, and they can hunt fastballs. They can hunt stuff to the middle of the plate. I would love to see Dustin May get off to a start where he is attacking early ahead and able to put guys away with a minimum number of pitches. I think that's an incredibly important thing for him to be able to do tonight. That's one of the things I'm looking for tonight and this weekend against the Kansas City Royals. Also, how about this? We were talking about Michael Conforto getting hot in Colorado. Michael Conforto kind of finding his way. Now, these guys are not scuffling like that, but 2 players, Dodger players that are the backbone of this team, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, came into the Colorado series not great, especially by their incredibly high standards. Freddie finally found some outfield grass yesterday. Freddie finally got a hit. He drove in the go-ahead run, and you could just feel that, whoo, okay, all right, there's one. Now, I don't worry about Freddie. I don't worry about him finding it. He's been in the big leagues way too long. He's had way too much success in the big leagues. But even a player like that, it's nice to see finally get one. So we'll see what he looks like moving forward. Did he find his swing? Can he continue to stack those good vibes the way that Conforto did and start to look more like the Freddie Freeman who's going to hit 330 for 3 months at a time? So hopefully that is right around the corner. Throw Mookie Betts right into that same category as well. Mookie, again, not super hot this season offensively. Couple more hits yesterday. Looks like he's getting a little bit more comfortable. Played in a couple of nice plays at short along the way. So hopefully he's starting to find it as well. And he can continue to go into Kansas City and stack those good vibes. I know I've said that a lot, but I think it's important, especially when you're playing those bad teams, that it doesn't matter how you get hot, only that you get hot. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, these guys that are going to go to all-star games, these guys that, a lot of these guys are going to end up in the Hall of Fame. Even they go through crises of confidence. Even they go through that, man, am I ever going to get another hit again? Am I ever going to hit the barrel of the bat? And they can do it in Colorado. It can just put those good vibes out there, and all of a sudden it starts happening there. So those are all of the different things that I would like to see happen over the course of the weekend in KC. And, of course, we're going to get another Shohei start on Saturday. We'll see whether they push him out to a second inning or not. First time he's pitching on the road, so a little bit different where he will hit before he pitches. That's something that I would like to see as well. Another big home run for him yesterday in Colorado. That dude, how many home runs would Shohei Ohtani hit if he played a full season in Colorado? 70? Not crazy, right? Certainly something that would be within the realm of possibility. Another one for him yesterday. So last thoughts on Colorado coming up next, because I think they inform the way that the Dodgers play quite a bit as well. That's coming up next on Locked On Dodgers. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your pods. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to do all of the good things that make my life better when you sign up for Locked On Dodgers as well. So thank you for doing that. All right, so in our final segment here, I want to talk about the Rockies and how bad they are, but I want to talk about it in a context that relates back to the Dodgers and why as a Dodger fan, and if you're listening to this, it is very likely that you are a Dodger fan as well, you can feel really good about what the Dodgers do. Let's just kind of take a couple of examples from this Rocky series and talk about why the Dodgers won this series as comfortably and as easily as they did. And the Rockies do not have the roster of the Dodgers. Duh, right? They don't have a bunch of Hall of Famers. They don't even have a bunch of they don't have much, okay? They're in a rebuild that seems to be perpetual. They also play terrible baseball. That you go back to the first game where Michael Toglia made 3 errors at first base in one game. Now, he only got charged with 1, but there were 3 big-time mistakes that he made. And quite frankly, they were errors of lack of interest. They were errors of being completely disengaged and not prepared to play a Major League Baseball game. Go to the second game where you had the rain delay. Now, that pop-up in the rain, that's not as nearly as easy of a play as it looks like. It also is a play that should be made. Toglia didn't move. He just stood there, looked at the second baseman. The second baseman's looking for it. He's not even looking up in the air for the baseball. It's not happening at all. Laziness, complete disengagement, just terror. And I get it. They're going to lose more games than any team has ever lost in the history of baseball. And that's got to be brutal to go through for 6 months. Absolutely brutal. You're also a Major League Baseball player that's expected to be engaged and perform and at least pay attention. They did not. Did you see the way that they attacked Clayton Kershaw yesterday? What did we talk about in the first segment of the show? That Clayton Kershaw pitched 6 innings, only threw 69 pitches. What? Are you kidding me? Clayton Kershaw's 175 years old. You're just gonna start hacking at a guy that is every single pitch could be, the difference between him having a bad day and a good day. You're going up there wailing away at how many times did you see him swing at the first pitch yesterday? This is a guy that went through 6 innings, through 69 pitches. That should never happen to a pitcher like this. Not at this point in his career. Make him work for it. There was no plan to speak of when they got in the batter's box. Just hack. 1 pitch outs, 2 pitch outs, just making it as easy as possible on a guy on a given day. It's a terrible approach. It is the exact opposite of a professional hitting approach. This is the sort of stuff that if you went to a high school baseball game, you go, like, have these guys ever watched a game before? Swinging at the first pitch on a guy that is 100 a year. It just was crazy stuff. And then, of course, how did the game end? The game ends with, by the way, so 3-1 score. It's Coors Field, okay? A 2-run lead in Coors Field is basically a tie game. It's nothing. It's a bloop single and a bomb, and the game's tied. It happens all the time there. They get the guy on base. They get the guy on base that they need. There's less than 2 outs. They're going to have 2 shots to pop one at Coors Field. Not a miracle. Happens a lot. So what do? A ball gets hit to center field. A routine ball gets hit to center field. Andy Pajes catches a routine fly ball. Wow, a major leaguer caught a fly ball. And the runner at first gets doubled off the bag. What? Where are you going? Your run means nothing. Just stand on the bag. You need the next guy to hit a home run. Your run isn't the winning run. It's not the tying run. Your run, the only way you are on second base is if you could walk there. And you get doubled up. Andy Pajes has one of the best arms in baseball. What are you doing? Get back to the bag. And the point of this is not just that it was a bad base running mistake. It was. The point isn't just that you needed a big swing to win the game and you're all of this is true. It's the whole weekend, or the midweek, I should say, of what they don't know what the heck they're doing. There is no engagement. They're not paying attention. They're not having an approach. They're not running the bases well. They're just a disaster from beginning to end. And I get it. Losing leads to more losing. Losing leads to disinterest and mistakes. I get it. But what the Dodgers have done is they've created an environment where that is simply not tolerated. And I get it. Freddie Freeman's going to set the bar really high. Mookie Betts is going to set the bar really high. Will Smith, Shohei Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez, right down the line. They're all going to set the bar really high. but you just don't see that from them. I get it. They're playing games that matter. They're trying to win their division. They're trying to get ready to go win the World Series. But when you do see a base running error, it jumps off the screen at you. When you do see somebody swing at a pitch that they're not supposed to, take a bad at-bat in a big situation, it jumps off the page at you, because the Dodgers really don't do that. And this is not just because of Dave Roberts saying so. This doesn't mean just because Freddie Freeman is in the clubhouse or Mookie Betts is in the clubhouse or Shohei Ohtani's in the clubhouse. It's an organizational thing. This is how we do it. We don't do dumb stuff on the bases. We make the right decision. We throw to the right base. And if you don't do it, you're not going to stay here very long. You're not going to survive in this environment, because we're playing for real stakes. And the Rockies just absolutely cannot execute the most basic things. And it's not to pile on the Rockies, because quite frankly, who cares? They're going to be out of it, whatever. It's more a point to, when you watch the Dodgers, how infrequently they do dumb things. It's going to happen occasionally, because it's baseball. There's 9 innings a night. There's 162 games. It's a lot. And a lot of stuff is going to go wrong. There's going to be errors. There's going to be mistakes. But it doesn't happen a lot. And it doesn't happen on the mental side nearly as much as it could. Just generally speaking, they're pretty tightly run when it comes to those things. And you got to give the credit to the entire organization for that, from Andrew Friedman right on down. Their minor league system, their scouts, the guys that they draft, the guys that they teach, the way that they go through it, all that. This is the way that we're going to do it. We're going to run the bases right. We're going to throw to the right base. We're going to play defense. We're going to have good at-bats. One of the great skills that the Dodgers have, yes, they are more talented than just about every team that they play. They grind people down. They'll go through an inning or 2 or 3 or 4, or sometimes even 5 or 6, where nothing's really happening. But now all of a sudden, that pitcher is out of the game. Now all of a sudden, the next guy's in. He's not as good as the first guy. Now all of a sudden, the third guy's in. He's not as good as the second guy. And then the second game of the series, you're getting the 4th and 5th, 6th guy out of that bullpen, and they're just going to clobber that guy. It's because they make them work. It's because they make them grind. And it's something to look forward to in this series against Kansas City. Get into that bullpen, grind it out, make them use all of their guys, because eventually one of those guys is going to break. You're giving them a bunch of 1-pitch outs like the Rockies did yesterday. What the heck is going on? Just the whole series, they're right. Well, that was a terrible play. Well, that's a terrible decision. Well, that was a terrible at-bat. And the way that final game ended, with a guy whose run meant nothing, getting doubled off first base on a routine ball to the outfield with one of the best throwers in baseball. Where are you going? Perfect example of how bad the Rockies are and how infrequently the Dodgers make plays like that. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Dodgers. Thanks for making us your first listen today. For your second listen, check out all new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Of course, you got the postcast as well with Pete Fox after each and every Dodger game. Make sure you check that out. We'll be back here on Monday breaking down that entire Kansas City series. Shohei Ohtani's first road start in a Dodger uniform on the mound. Until then, I am Travis Rogers. This is Locked On Dodgers, and go blue.